Sodom and Gomorrah were cities mentioned in the Book of Genesis and throughout the Hebrew Bible, the New Testament, and in the Deuterocanonical Book of Wisdom, as well as in the Quran and Hadith. According to the Torah, the kingdoms of Sodom and Gomorrah were allied with the cities of Admah, Zeboim and Bela. These 5 cities, also known as the cities of the plain, were situated on the Jordan River plain in the southern region of the land of Canaan. The plain, which corresponds to the area just north of the modern-day Dead Sea, was compared to the Garden of Eden, Gen. 13:10, as being a land well watered and green, suitable for grazing livestock. Divine judgment by God was then passed upon Sodom and Gomorrah and 2 neighboring cities, which were completely consumed by fire and brimstone. Neighboring Zoar was the only city to be spared. In Abrahamic religions, Sodom and Gomorrah have become synonymous with impenitent sin, and the fall with a proverbial manifestation of divine retribution. Jude chapter 1 verse 7. Sodom and Gomorrah have been used as metaphors for vice and homosexuality viewed as a deviation. The story has therefore given rise to words in several languages, including the English word sodomy, used in sodomy laws to describe a sexual crime against nature, consisting of anal or oral sex, either homosexual or heterosexual, or sexual activity between a person and a non-human animal. Some Islamic societies incorporate punishments associated with Sodom and Gomorrah into Sharia. The historicity of Sodom and Gomorrah is still in dispute by archaeologists, as little archaeological evidence has ever been found in the regions where they were supposedly situated. Etymology. The etymology of both names is uncertain. The exact original meanings of the names are also uncertain. The name Sodom could be a word from an early Semitic language ultimately related to the Arabic Sadama, meaning fasten, fortified, strengthen, and Gomorrah could be based on the root ghmr, which means be deep, copious. Historicity. There are some other stories and historical names which bear a resemblance to the biblical stories of Sodom and Gomorrah, and some possible natural explanations for the events described have been proposed, but no widely accepted or strongly verified sites for the cities have been found. The ancient Greek historiographer Strabo states that locals living near Masada say that there were once 13 inhabited cities in that region, of which Sodom was the metropolis. Strabo identifies a limestone and salt hill at the southwestern tip of the Dead Sea, and Karbet Usdum ruins nearby as the site of biblical Sodom. Archibald Sayce translated an Akkadian poem describing cities that were destroyed in a rain of fire, written from the view of a person who escaped the destruction. The names of the cities are not given. However, Sayce later mentions that the story more closely resembles the doom of Sennacherib's host. In 1976, Giovanni Pettinato claimed that a cuneiform tablet that had been found in the newly discovered library at Ebla contained the names of all 5 of the cities of the plain, listed in the same order as in Genesis. The name Sodom trademark 76 G 524 and Gomorrah trademark 75 G 1570 and trademark 75 G 2233 were identified as representing Sodom and Gomorrah, which gained some acceptance at the time. However, Alfonso Archi states that, judging from the surrounding city named in the cuneiform list, Sodom lies in northern Syria and not near the Dead Sea, and Gomorrah is a variant of Imar, known to represent Emar, an ancient city located near Ebla. Today, the scientific consensus is that Ebla has no bearing on Sodom and Gomorrah. If the cities actually existed, they might have been destroyed as the result of a natural disaster. One theory says that the Dead Sea was devastated by an earthquake between 2100 and 1900 BCE, which could have unleashed showers of steam and tar. However, there is a lack of contemporary accounts of seismic activity within the necessary time frame to corroborate this theory. Some think the area was destroyed by the plume of a meteor that impacted in the Alps, based on a cuneiform tablet called the planisphere, which they consider represents the sky around the time of the supposed disaster and shows a moving object that could be seen from Earth. Candidates for Sodom or Gomorrah at the sites discovered or visited by Walter E. Rast and R. Thomas Schaub in 1973, including Babidhdhra, which was originally excavated in 1965 by archaeologist Paul Lapp, and later finished by Rast and Schaub following his death. Other possibilities also include Numaira, Al-Safi, Pfeiffer and Carnizia, which were also visited by Schaub and Rast. All sites were located near the Dead Sea, with evidence of burning and traces of sulfur. However, according to Schaub, who dug at Babidhdhra, Numaira was destroyed at a different time period from Babidhdhra. Archaeological remains excavated from Babidhdhra are currently displayed in Carrick Archaeological Museum, Amman Citadel Museum, and the British Museum. Another candidate for Sodom is the Tall El Hammam dig site, which began in 2006 under the direction of Stephen Collins. Tall El Hammam is located in the southern Jordan River Valley, approximately 14 kilometers northeast of the Dead Sea, and seemingly fits the biblical descriptions of the lands of Sodom. The ongoing dig is a result of joint cooperation between Trinity Southwest University and the Department of Antiquities of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. Better source needed. The site is 36 hectares. While the footprint size of general settlement extends beyond this, well over 40 hectares. This size puts Tall El Hammam as one of the largest Middle Bronze Age sites that has been discovered in Jordan. Analysis of the findings indicates that the site was occupied from the Chalcolithic period on up to the Iron Age, along with evidences of glazed artifacts, such as pottery and rocks. And destruction. Better source needed. The researchers claim to have discovered an ash layer containing human bone fragments, which they believe indicates a meteor airburst and sudden end to the civilization in this area. Recently, desert glass had been found among the glazed pottery shards. Desert glass requires extremely high temperatures to fuse sand into glass. These temperatures are not found from oil fires, gas fires, or siege fires. It is also evident that the area was not occupied for several centuries afterward. In addition, there is evidence of Hellenistic, Eastern Roman, and Byzantine occupation on the site. Professor Eugene H. Merrill believes that the identification of Tall El Hammam with Sodom would require an unacceptable restructuring of the biblical chronology. The Jewish historian Josephus identifies the Dead Sea in geographic proximity to the ancient biblical city of Sodom. However, he refers to the lake by its Greek name, Asphaltites. Biblical narratives. The Book of Genesis is the primary source that mentions the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Major and minor prophets in the Hebrew Bible have also referred to Sodom and Gomorrah to parallel their prophetic events. The New Testament also contains passages of parallels to the destruction and surrounding events that pertain to these cities and those who were involved. Later deuterocanonical texts attempt to glean additional insights about these cities of the Jordan Plain. Battle of Sodom in Genesis chapter 14. Sodom and Gomorrah's political situation is described during the time biblical Lot had encamped in Sodom's territory. Genesis chapter 13 verse 13 indicates that at that time, the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. Sodom was ruled by King Bera while Gomorrah was ruled by King Birsha. Their kingship, however, was not sovereign, because all of the River Jordan plain was under Elamite rule for 12 years. The kingdom of Elam was ruled by King Chedorlaomer. Genesis chapter 14 verses 1-4. In the 13th year of subjugation to Elam, the 5 kings of the River Jordan plain allied to rebel against Elamite rule. v. 4. These kings included those of Sodom and Gomorrah as well as their neighbors. King Shinab of Admah, King Shemaiah of Zeboim, and the unnamed king of Bela. v. 2. In response, Elam's king Chedorlaomer gathered additional forces from Shinar, Elazar and Goyim to suppress this rebellion from the cities of the plain. v. 1, 2. They waged war in the Vale of Sodom. v. 3, 8. In the 14th year, the battle was brutal with heavy losses in the cities of the plain. With their resultant defeat, v. 10, Sodom and Gomorrah were spoiled of their goods, and captives were taken, including Lot. v. 11, 12. The tide of war turned when Lot's uncle Abram gathered an elite force that slaughtered King Chedorlaomer's forces in Hobah, north of Damascus. v. 14-17. The success of his mission freed the cities of the plain from under Elam's rule. v. 18-20. The judgment upon Sodom and Gomorrah in Genesis chapter 18. 3 men, thought by most commentators to have been angels appearing as men, came to Abraham in the plains of Mamre. After the angels received the hospitality of Abraham and Sarah, his wife, the Lord revealed to Abraham that he would confirm what he had heard against Sodom and Gomorrah, and because their sin is very grievous. Gen 18:20. In response, Abraham inquired of the Lord if he would spare the city if 50 righteous people were found in it, to which the Lord agreed he would not destroy it for the sake of the righteous yet dwelling therein. Abraham then inquired of God for mercy at lower numbers, with the Lord agreeing each time. Gen 18:22-33. 2 angels were sent to Sodom to investigate and were met by Abraham's nephew Lot, who convinced the angels to lodge with him, and they ate with Lot. Genesis chapter 19 verses 4-5 described what followed, which confirmed its end. 4 But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. 5 And they called unto Lot, and said unto him, Where are the men which came in to thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. Lot refused to give his guests to the inhabitants of Sodom, and, instead, offered them his 2 virgin daughters, which have not known man, and 2, do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Gen 19-8. However, they refused this offer, complained about this alien, namely Lot, giving orders, and then came near to break down the door. Lot's angelic guests rescued him and struck the men with blindness, and they informed Lot of their mission to destroy the city. Genesis chapter 19 verses 9-13. Then they commanded Lot to gather his family and leave